Hi, everybody. It is March Mania time. Conference tournaments are done, and the NCAA tournament, along with the NIT, the CBI, and the CIT, are all underway. These are the biggest games, one and done for everybody, win or go home. And that means the pressure's on us to produce, and fortunately we are doing so. We are Jim Feist, Chip Chirimbes. My name's Dave Cokin. We're going to tell you first that we're going to look at a couple of really good tournament games and try and give you the winners on this edition of Proline. Before we do that, let's talk about what we've got going. Jim, you've been on a tremendous run, and get some big stuff coming up, a blockbuster at the big dance.
You know, absolutely, Dave. I've been on a tremendous run. Now, I have to mention this. Last night I did have Iona, and I'm sorry, 2+2 up 25. I thought I was pretty safe, but I don't know. I'm not going to dissect that game, but we're going to talk about what we got going because it's been a remarkable run. And the big dance blockbuster, $20. You get the rest of my executive service plays in the NBA and college through April 2nd, including a high roller platinum tournament release going tonight. It's a $500 value online. And you'll get that big dance total of the year. I hit my college tournament total of the year with Michigan State, Ohio State over. And Monday, I hit my NBA total of the year with the Celtics Clippers under. And I'm ready for the trifecta. All this for just $20. 1-866-841-1655. Remember, I'm 20-7 in the NBA run right now, including Monday's total, and 12-3 in the NBA games of the month. So make sure you make that phone call, 1-866-841-1655. It's a small $20 bill to win thousands. 1-866-841-1655.
I have a couple of things to tell you about. First, my free plays, and because they are free, I guess this is about the best investment around right now. Last 39 days, 26, 12, and 1 on free plays. It's pretty good. 1-888, toll-free number, 1-888-712-6800. The free plays are on tape every day. Or you can get them via text message on your cell phone. Just text Cokin, C-O-K-I-N. You can see it on the screen right now. Just C-O-K-I-N to 313131. And within seconds, you get back the day's free play on a text message. So, 26, 12, and 1, that's roughly 70%. I don't know how long that's going to continue. But the free plays win more than they lose. And therefore, considering the cost that's involved, it's a really good idea to get them, okay? Even if you don't play them, just don't go opposite them. Now, as for something that you'll have to pay for, well, I think this is better than a 70% play. I think it's just an outstanding spot. As soon as the matchups were announced on Selection Sunday, I'm actually doing a show while this is going on because I do my show on ESPN Radio 1100, 98.9 FM every day, 3 to 6 p.m., and online at ESPN1100.com. And Sunday, we were doing a show from the Thomas and Mack with the UNLV basketball team, as they were going to obviously be a part of the tournament. So we were down there to have the players on after they got selected and stuff like that. So we're watching these matchups, the brackets come up, and as soon as I saw this game, I knew approximately what the line was going to be on the game. And I said, that's the matchup. I absolutely love this game. And decided right then and there, college basketball tournament game of the year. Put it online actually a couple of days ago for $99. But and you can get it online right now. Just go to the website that you're on, $99. It's at jimfeist.tv or prolinetv.com, whatever you want to call it. $99. But this is a better idea. Call 1-866-841-1665. I'm going to give you the game for $20. And you're also going to get a week's worth of action plays in the NBA and college as a bonus. So you get to play a lot of tournament games, plus the big game, all for $20. No-brainer. And the big plays, well, aren't too many people better than I am. I'll tell you somebody who's equal to how good I am in big games. We'll get to him in a second. But call 1-866-841-1665. Equal or even better could be the original big game hunter himself. And look, Chip and me go way back. We go back to the 70s. And this is where you've always been really good, as isolating that one monster play and taking advantage of it.
Thanks, David. And we have gone head-to-head a number of times, and you certainly held your own, I can tell you that. Big games is my forte. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Jim, I was coming out my first game of the year, and Jim says, well, you may be starting a little bit early. Last Saturday, my 5th straight Game of the Year winner with Florida State over Duke. More of the same this weekend, and I added in 2 special VIP winners, 3-0 last week for $20. This week is an even better offer. How do you top it? We have a March Mayhem Game of the Year for $15, and we're going to throw in 2 more VIP NCAA winners. All 3 contests, only $15. 866-899-9462. Listen, I'm a 3-time NCAA handicapping champion. I'm the big game player, the big money, and the big winners are on the line right now. So give the big game player a call. Step out on a game you can play with confidence. A game that you look forward to. Winning big time once the final is in. So give me a call, 866-899-9462. 866-899-9462. Going for a 6th straight Game of the Year, only $15 and 2 VIP winners to boot. Give me a call.
Let's get right to the game involving UNLV, guys. The Rebels, I thought they got a great seed. I was thinking that the way they closed the season, 3rd in the Mountain West, didn't make the conference final on their home floor. I was thinking, boy, you know, they might get knocked down to a 7, despite the fine season they've had. But they got a 6, and they got Albuquerque. And lo and behold, they also get a team that finished, I think, 6th in the Pac-12, but won that conference's tournament. But it's not a very good conference, even though they're off to a good start in the tournaments. So UNLV couldn't have done much better in terms of getting an advantageous draw and getting Colorado. But the flip side of that is, you know, Chip, Colorado is hot right now. They come into this tournament on a roll. UNLV, not so much. What do you think?
Well, you know, off of that, those conditions, what you just mentioned, because Colorado has made some money for us this year. They really have, particularly at home. And UNLV was off to a great start, and it just seems like something happened to them the last 2.5 weeks, David. I'm really not quite sure. I know they just weren't making the point spread wins like they had previously. That being said, it looks kind of strong for me for UNLV to be this kind of a favorite over a Pac-10 team. The Pac-10 has been really, really weak this year, and maybe that's one of the reasons the Buffaloes have fared so well, because they're not a basketball school. We know that. UNLV is. This is tournament-tested team. This is a team I think is very well coached. I lean toward UNLV here, backyard in Albuquerque, where they've been many times. Colorado hasn't been there very often. I give the edge to UNLV here.
The New Mexico fans have evidently stated they're going to be showing up and rooting for the Rebels because they are a fellow Mountain West entry. So going to be a lot of red there. A lot of red there on Thursday. Ted Boyle has done a terrific job at Colorado. You're right. It's not known as a basketball school. Actually, it hasn't been much of anything lately. Yeah. The football program hasn't been very good. They've had financial issues in terms of putting the dollars into the programs that they need to. But the basketball program's turned around. They probably, Ted Boyle himself said, hey, we got snubbed last year by the NCAA selection committee. They thought they should have been in, and they weren't. This year, well, they got the automatic, so they didn't have to sweat getting in, and they wouldn't have had they not won the Pac-12 conference tournament. Now, it's interesting to see what's happened here. The Pac-12 rightfully only got 2 teams in the tournament, and one of them is in a play-in game, California. It's not a good conference this year. So for the first time, one of the Big Six conference regular season champions, first time it's ever happened, didn't get an NCAA tournament bid. That's Washington. The result is that this conference, it's still not a good conference. That doesn't change that. But they've got a gigantic chip on their shoulder right now. And that's why, at least in the minor tournaments, I think that's why they got off to a great start. I think they went 4-0 straight up and against the spread on Tuesday to start the minor tournaments. I don't think this is a very good matchup for Colorado. They don't really bring the things to the table that UNLV has trouble with. But if they can turn it into a half-court game, maybe the Rebels will get impatient. And certainly the one worry UNLV has right now is that they've gotten into an alarming tendency of playing very poorly in the second half. Awful in the second half. I think that might be in their heads right now. So, this could be one of those games where UNLV is out there 12-14 at the half, and then all of a sudden it's a 2-point game, because that's been happening a lot for the Rebels. I thought UNLV might be the value in the game where the number was. I hate to just pass on a game because, I know people want opinions, and so I'll give UNLV as an opinion, but I really can't recommend it with the price where it is now. It's -5. That's gone up. And the one thing you have to learn if you're going to win betting at sports is you can't bet into bad numbers and expect to win. So I think UNLV is the right side, but there's no way I'm giving it out to my customers at the number, and I really can't recommend it. So, but if you're filling out brackets, well, there's no point spread involved there. So I would go with UNLV to at least win the basketball game. Jim?
Well, I know you both sided with UNLV, but I'm going to go the other way. I'm very unimpressed with the team that first of all, it's nonsense that you play a conference tournament and you have your home court advantage and then you blow it. And they've lost, looking at their spread record, they're atrocious against the spread lately. They've covered twice, I believe, in the last 9 or 10 games. And that indicates to me they're a very overrated team. And when they played their last 3 games at home, 2 of them against Wyoming, they beat them both times. They covered once. Then they lost to New Mexico, which happens to be a pretty good basketball team. And then you look at UNLV on the road. Ironically, it's really amazing. They did not play a neutral court game all year. They've either been at home or on the road the entire year. Not one neutral court game, but they're on the road. They're very marginal. And
they don't play in any tournaments.
They rank. I have them at 92.7 at home and 83.5 on the road. That's a huge drop off. Colorado, Dave, you mentioned it. We talked. I saw it earlier that yesterday the Pac-12, they won all 4 of their games and they covered all 4 of their games. Every year we start picking on conferences and say they're weak or they're this or they're that. And they stepped up. They won their last 4 games, all neutral site games, Utah, Oregon, California, and Arizona. They were an underdog in 3 of those games. They won them straight up, win the championship. That's a big ego boost. Vegas has got to have some questions about what's going on with them. So I see their confidence not really high at this point, especially since they've been 5 of their last 6 games at home. 1 game at Colorado State, which is an okay team. They lost that one. And then before that, they lost by 20 at New Mexico. Overtime loss at TCU. Before that, they lost at Wyoming. Before that, they went into overtime against a rather weak Air Force team. Another weak team against overtime game at Boise. Take them out of their own ballpark because they're not that good. Now you're giving the game. This game opens 3.5, goes up to 5.5, 6.
That high now? Wow.
I think Colorado's the right side, guys.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. On value alone, I can't disagree with that. If a team opens plus 3.5 and gets to plus 6, you really don't want to be looking at the favorite in the game. It's just bad business if you do. But I still think the Rebels win the game. So what can I do? I just pass. We're going to get to Xavier Notre Dame in a minute, but it's our halftime discussion, and we've been getting tweets. If you have a question for us, go to Twitter at Jim Feist Sports. You'll be put in a drawing to win $100 worth of plays from any handicapper of your choice. Franklin Moody, San Diego, home of the Aztecs. He tweeted us, any butlers in this dance? In other words, under the radar teams. Is Murray State, you've got Murray State, VCU, Xavier. Memphis is the number 8 seed. Teams that slow the pace down like Butler did might have a better chance. Would you go along with that thinking?
I think if you play good defense, and can control the tempo of the game, you can beat anybody. You have to be able to hit your outside shots. You've got to be able to defend. And if you happen to get the lead, you got to be able to hit some free throws. There's a lot of ifs in there. Murray State being 31-1 or whatever the hell the record is, I can't say they're an under-the-radar team. I mean, when you have that kind of record, I mean, everybody has to notice you. You know that. I know they're a smaller version of Missouri. They kind of play the same kind of games a little bit. They're not as big. It would be a shock if they won it, but that would go for anybody that beats out the big teams. But I can't say they're under the radar.
No, I don't think
under the radar team. An under radar team would be somebody that's maybe got 10 or 11 losses, and all of a sudden put it together at the end of the year. That might be an under the radar team.
I don't think there are any under the radar teams.
I was just going to say that, David. I was going to say that. I think there's some pretty good clubs out there, but Kentucky, North Carolina, sorry what happened to Syracuse, because I thought it would have made it real interesting. But I don't see any butlers out there. Could it be Iowa State? Would they be considered a butler? I mean, who can emerge? I don't think some of these teams can win it or get that far, is what I'm saying. So Butler had some pretty good talent.
Let me ask you this question. In order to win these tournaments, I've always felt that you have to have a pretty good strategy, and that comes from your coaching staff. But you also have to have somebody that can really handle the ball, which means your point guard is very, very important. He's the coach on the floor. I mean, the coach can only do so much. He's got to turn the ball over to the point guard to lead the offense, and in some extents lead the defense in setting them up and keeping them motivated. Who do we like in the point guard position that isn't on a major team? And we know some.
He's a guard, and he let's just say he controls things while he's out there. The Cannon kid at Murray State.
Yeah, at Murray State.
Boy, is he good.
He's great.
The flip side of that is, they're relying on him. If he has a bad game, they can lose to anybody, I would think. To me, there's no real under the radars anymore. I've seen every single team in the tournament play. Now, granted, a couple of them I've only seen the one time in their conference tournament championship when ESPN or ESPNU or whatever picked it up. But I've seen everybody. So the fact is, it's just a smaller world now. I also think, look, let's face it, I know we've never seen a 16 beat a 1. I'm going to tell you, there are Lamar and Vermont are two of the best 16 seeds I've ever seen. These teams are good, okay? They're quality teams. Long Island is a quality team. I don't even rule out a 16-1 happening. I think it's going to happen one of these years, and I'm not going to say, I'm not predicting it this weekend, but is Syracuse really a number 1 seed now with Fab Mello out? So it's wide open. And that's why we're getting teams from mid-major conferences into the Final Four. We had 2 last year. We had 1 the year before. We had George Mason a few years ago. It wouldn't stun me if we see a team from a mid-major make another run this season. The issue is finding it. I don't know, Franklin. I mean, it's a great question. I think, to me, Memphis at a number 8, I wouldn't be stunned if they go on a run and get to the Final Four. It would not shock me. I've got them going quite a ways in the tournament. So I'll give you that one as this year's Butler, if you will. I know it's Memphis. What are you talking about? They're not a small. Well, they're in Conference USA, which isn't a good league, and they're an 8th seed. So to me, that would be an unexpected team making a run to the Final Four. Anybody else got a team they want to mention?
Well, I look at teams that really peaked over their. Okay, we all start. I mean, there's a long season. They're playing 30 games. So what they do the first 10 games of the season don't really matter once they get in there. Once they get into conference play, and they start building the record against conference teams. And now, if you get into a conference situation, like, let's take a look at Vanderbilt. They've been pretty steady all year long. I mean, This is somebody, not anybody ever thinks about Vanderbilt as a powerhouse in any kind of sport.
No.
The Harvard of the South, yes, they are that. And Harvard comes from a rather weak, unknown conference, but they're a good basketball team. But Vanderbilt, here's what I'm talking about. If I look at their entire body of work, I rate Vanderbilt as 88.8. But if I look at how they played the last 4 games, last 8 games, they're well into the 90s. Now, granted, they play high-level teams, so if you play well against a high-level team, it's easy to get a high rating. So that's the flaw of mathematics. But they just knocked off some pretty good basketball teams, and there's nobody they're going to face that's going to be tougher to beat than the teams they've already beaten. So if they come in with their head straight, they're not going to face anybody that's going to scare them. And they're a smart club. They got intelligent athletes, and they seem to be well coached. 17-13 on the season against the point spread, 24-10 straight up. But importantly, they have been dynamite lately. And I'm not saying that's a dark horse, but it's certainly not one of the teams that you really think about to win it. You take a team like Montana that nobody really talks about. I mean, they're out west. They're up in the mountains. Nobody cares. They can't play basketball. All they know how to do is milk cows and shovel snow. But, they're going up against a team like Wisconsin that, they're 25-6. Wisconsin is a team that can be had. If they're not hitting their outside shots, and if they can't control the tempo of the game, they're always in trouble.
Yeah,
so
they
Montana
know how to
is kind of like
that.
Yeah, Jim Montana's got a lot of shoveling of the cows,
Wisconsin, Montana, the cow milking contest. That's a tough call.
No.
But that's a dark horse. There's a team that can play. Wichita State. Nobody talks about this team. 27-5.
Very dangerous.
They're going up against a club in Virginia Commonwealth that is not the Virginia Commonwealth of last year. They're a totally different ball club. This is a brutal basketball team. Wichita can downright play. And they're playing a decent league. It's not that bad. And got to look out for them. There's 2 teams playing that I think is a horrible matchup, and I'm really upset that they're actually playing each other, and that's Long Beach and New Mexico. I think that is an atrocious matchup.
Well, it's a great game.
That should not. But they shouldn't be playing each other right now because these 2 teams, they both have an opportunity to go all the way. They're both very tough. Nobody played a tougher schedule than Long Beach.
No.
Out-of-conference schedule that was brutal. Now, they didn't win all their games, but they are not afraid of anybody. This New Mexico club is brutal. I mean, they did go to Vegas and win, and they beat Vegas down in their ballpark by 20. This is a brutal basketball game, and the winner of this game can go an awful long way. I don't know if you call that a dark horse, but I guess you could.
I'll tell you what. I love that game from a fan standpoint. I doubt very much that I'll have a bet on Long Beach, New Mexico. I agree with everything you said about that. Long Beach, they're better than a 12 seed. They really are. New Mexico probably gets seeded right where they should be as a 5. Boy, is that a good matchup on paper. And it might be the best first-round game. If you're going to be just looking for a game you definitely want to sit and watch, I don't think it gets any better than that game. That's
You're right.
A terrific matchup. And by the way, whoever faces the winner, I don't have the bracket in front of me. Let me see. I forgot.
Not
Long
sure.
Beach, Indiana is okay. The winner faces Louisville Davidson. Winner. Look out, Louisville. Look out, Louisville. Okay. Let's
But I will tell you something about Louisville.
they're hot.
They went from an 87.5 and boosted their rating by 8 points in the last 4 games. That's a team. I look for that. The team that's really flying and getting it all together at the right time. These are the teams that surprise clubs. And not that Louisville would be a big surprise. They're a very good basketball team anyway, but they're hot, real hot.
Yeah, they are. Louisville's defense has been fantastic down the stretch, and that's what they did in the Big East tournament. Okay, Chip, you got a team you want to throw in other than, I know you were going to mention Long Beach.
Wichita State was the school. I like Long Beach still. Long Beach can play, no question. But I thought Wichita State was a team that could cause some problems. 27 wins is a lot of wins, and teams that know how to win are teams you want because they don't have to cover; they only have to win to advance. And I think there's strong favor over what Jim said, the VCU team that is not the same club as they were last year. And when I saw that number, I thought it was a little bit high. I thought people are going to pay a little bit of respect for the Rams, the VCU. And I think Wichita State's decided the first round anyway. So,
all right, let's look at Xavier and Notre Dame. I voted. My vote for National Coach of the Year is Mike Bray at Notre Dame. I think what he's done this year is one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen in college basketball. They lost really the glue guy in their team, Abramitis. Didn't get to play at all this year, got hurt. And they were awful in December. I mean, Notre Dame looked like they were going to be, a 13th place team in the Big East? They might beat DePaul and Providence. That's about it. And they looked like they were going to be garbage without Abramitis. I don't know how he put this team together. He has. Now, they have faded down the stretch. And I think that's reality catching up with them. I really believe Bray has done this with smoke and mirrors. This is not a talented Notre Dame team. And I don't think they can make a long run in this tournament. And yet, wouldn't surprise me if they get past Xavier. I've heard a lot of the talking heads talk about, well, Xavier got their mojo back in the Atlantic 10 tournament. No, they didn't. They should have lost the Dayton game. They were well behind that game, and Dayton just kind of pulled a fade in the second half. Xavier, I'll give them credit. They took advantage of it and won the game. They did play very well against St. Louis. That was an impressive win. It was also a game that Xavier had to win, I think, to get into the tournament. And St. Louis played like a high seed that already had their spot locked up. They weren't very good in that game. And also Conklin, St. Louis's best player, was really limited, and they're not the same team without him. And then in the Atlantic 10 final on Sunday, Xavier gets run out of the building by St. Bonaventure. That was an easy win by St. Bonaventure. I don't know what happened to this basketball team because I'm not there. But it's clear that whatever they had going prior to the brawl with Cincinnati, they never found it again. And they have never been the same basketball team. They've had inconsistent production from their backcourt. Holloway is supposed to be, he is the best player on the team. He's been very erratic. To me, I have to lay it at the coach's feet at some point because the talent's there. But whatever button it is that he has to push to get this team back in sync, I don't think he's ever found it. I think with this amount of time to prepare, and Mike Bray's had a whole week here, I think Bray will flat out come with a better game plan than Chris Mack, and I think Notre Dame will beat Xavier. Jim, how about you?
Well, I'm looking at Xavier starting the season off with they bombed Cincinnati that day you're talking about where the brawl was 76-53, 23-point win. That's an in-state rival. That's a big rivalry, and suspensions happened, discipline problems happened. It was a big black mark on not only Xavier and Cincinnati, but college basketball totally. And they never recovered from that. And they lost the next game by 22 points to Oral Roberts, then lost to Long Beach State, then lost to Hawaii. Then, they got it back on a little bit, but they never recovered, as you said. The problem here is this Notre Dame team has played with smoke and mirrors all year. Yeah. But they're more together than Xavier is. And smoke and mirrors or not, this team has beaten Syracuse, Seton Hall, Connecticut, Marquette, West Virginia, DePaul, Rutgers, Villanova, over and over and again. Yeah, they flattened out. The last 5 games they flattened out, losing 3 out of the 5. But like I said, I think they're more together. What I don't like about this game is they're the favorite. 2.5-point favorite everywhere. I mean, I see one place it's 3. Even though it doesn't figure to be them the favorite in the game, if you put those intangibles together that I just mentioned, you could make them. It's a hard bet for me to make.
Yeah.
Laying points with a team that actually is inferior in many ways. But chemistry-wise, they are superior. So I'm not really saying anything. I'm just saying kind of like, I don't like the number, and I probably will just pass.
How about you, Chip?
Well, I've had fairly good success with both these clubs this year, and except for Notre Dame, probably the last 2 times out in the Big East, so I feel like they owe me a little bit. And the fact they came up favorite here, Jim, raised my eyebrow as well. I think that's because of their play in the Big East and the competition that they play continuously. But my gut feeling here is that if I had to choose a side, and I don't think this is an outstanding play in any regard, Dave, I would take the points and hoping it comes down to the wire, and maybe they can miss a free throw and I can make one. But I'd take Xavier plus the points.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet the game. Usually, I bet if I'm going to bet a game in this tournament, I'm usually on it pretty early, unless I'm expecting, favorable line movement. But straight up, I would take Notre Dame in the game, just on Mike Bray. I will tell you this: the feelings that I had about the 2 games we talked about, not strong. The feeling I've got on my college tournament game of the year, off the chart strong. I will tell you, it's an underdog, and I think they'll win the game outright. I think it's going to be an upset. This was a situation where I played it immediately on Sunday. Loved the game, and didn't want to wait around on this one because I thought the line movement might be. Let me put it this way: I thought the sharp money would be on the same side I am, so that's why I got involved right away with it. Normally, I'll wait to see how teams are reacting to the tournament atmosphere before I play my big game, but I just love the scheduling dynamics here and the matchup. It's my college basketball tourney game of the year. You can get it online for $99, or you can get it as part of a $20 package. You'll get a week's worth of my action plays, not only in the college tournaments, but in the NBA as well. And you'll get the big game, all for $20, and all you need to do is make one phone call, 1-866-841-1665. 1-866-841-1665. $20 for that big game plus a whole lot more. Chip, you have got 3 huge plays going. And
Dave, we're off of five weeks. 5 game of the year winners. 2 weeks ago, underdog play of the year, Tennessee, an outright winner over Vanderbilt. Last week, Florida State over Duke. More of the same Saturday, my March Mayhem game of the month. Actually, it's my game of the year, I beg your pardon. And 2 other VIP high roller winners, all for only $15. You can get this game online for $69 on jimtv.com, and that's the way it's going to be. But if you want value where you get the 3-0 sweep you got last Saturday, you have to call 866-899-9462. We won 5 straight Saturday big game of the year winners. Another one, March Mayhem from the big game player. Listen, this is a game you can step out on. This is a game you can play with confidence. It's a big game winner from the big game player, Chip Chirimbes. You don't want to miss it. March Mayhem game of the year, 866-899-9462. 2 other VIP winners included. Dave, I can't do any better than this. We're knocking them dead. I know you've got a big winner, and usually you and I come from different sides. We approach different games in different manners, but we both usually come out on top. So give us a call, 866-899-9462. $15 gets it all.
Well, Jim, and excuse me for butting in with the sneezes. Jim, what a run this has been. It's been really good in the colleges. The NBA has been spectacular. NBA games of the month are hitting at about an 80% clip. And you're even hot in the NHL. So, nice time of year, Jim Feist Sports.
I'm going to knock on wood, Dave. It's amazing when you're hot in so many sports at one time. We're going to keep it going. We only got a couple more weeks of college basketball, so we're going to close off real strong. The NBA's got a long way to go, and the NHL, like you said, we're red hot as well. Big Dance Blockbuster, $20. You get my executive service and the NBA right through April 2nd, $20. High Roller Platinum Tournament release going tonight, $500 value. Just make the call, 1-866-841-1655. Trifecta of plays, all for $20. 1-866-841-1655.
Any closing thoughts, guys?
No, thanks, Dave. I tell you, appreciate it. Jim, it was good seeing you. Hope you guys feel better. And let's knock them dead this weekend.
That always makes me feel fine. And by the way, I'll tell you how I'm heading down to Scottsdale, Phoenix, going down to Salt Lake on over the weekend. Going to be down there for a few days. Yeah. It's my annual spring training excursion. Looking forward to that.
Why don't you come to Florida? Why don't you come to Florida and visit Bobby Valentine?
This guy, do you understand this guy tried to straight steal a home and a squeeze bunt in an exhibition game?
Well,
you might want to save that for when it counts.
I'll wear my Yankee hat. You wear your Red Sox hat.
I'm actually going to. I'm going to be down at Salt Lake where the Angels and Rockies call home. The Angels camp is the place to be this year. It's unbelievable down there with Albert Pujols.
I'd love to see that. Yeah,
I'll be doing some interviews with some of the players. I know I'll hook up with Torrey Hunter when I'm down there. Troy Hawkins, a few other guys that I know. So it's going to be fun. Going to have some good times down in Arizona and get ready for baseball 2012. Can't wait. And we'll be back with another Proline next week, guys. Adios.
Great seeing you. Good luck this week.
Good luck, everybody.